Welcome back, everybody, to Cool Times Podcast, where we talk all things cool about the cold storage construction industry. We are your hosts, Jenna and Vince Free, bringing you a fresh new set of podcasts for the 2023 year. We're excited about our first guest that we have on our show, bringing you a good friend of ours from Ryan Companies, 30 plus years experience, 20 of those years spent in industrial cold storage. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Todd Schell.
Welcome to the show.
All right. Thank you both very much. Appreciate the chance to be talking to you both and the invite to talk on your podcast. So I know we've been trying to put this together for a few months, so appreciate the persistence to get it put together and excited to be on it.
This was the hardest one to schedule because I think we went back and forth for like 2 months and emails and times and schedules. And I know we're all busy.
It's hard to coordinate multiple people's schedules to make this happen. Yeah. So we appreciate your dedication to being a guest.
Of course, happy to. Of course.
Mainly it's trying to coordinate Jenna's schedule. Jenna's always the best.
Is that what it is? Okay. Yeah. As long as it's not me, that's what's important, right?
It wasn't you. It was Jenna the whole time.
Definitely me.
So my New Year's resolution is just try to put more blame on Jenna because she can take it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Great New Year's resolution. Let's see how it works out for you.
Right.
I'm kidding. So Todd, tell us and our lovely audience about yourself. Go ahead.
Sounds good. Thank you both. So again, I'm Todd Schell. I'm the Executive Vice President of Ryan Companies for our industrial sector. I'm here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I've been here since 1994. I'm actually not from Minnesota originally. By the way, Minneapolis is Ryan Companies headquarters for where our main office is, all of our corporate shared services and things. But I actually grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana, and my whole life. So from age 2 through age 22, I was in the Indianapolis area and went to school there, went to college at Purdue University in Indiana. And then once I graduated, I kind of moved around and ultimately settled here in Minnesota in 1994, which ironically, my wife's parents are both from the Minneapolis area. And then after college, they left and settled in Indiana, and we've done the opposite. They did, yeah. And actually, there's some family connections and reasons to why that occurred that way, which I won't bore everybody with. But yeah, that's kind of how we ended up being here, was because of the family connection to it. By the way, my wife is Missy of over 31 years now. We're 31 and a half years, so it's just been
awesome.
We're very proud of that, and it's pretty cool to have a partner like her to live your life with. So
Missy's our favorite.
Mention that.
Yes.
Mine too.
So awesome.
Well, Missy's great. We love Missy. And you moved to Minnesota in 1994, just in time for the Green Bay Packer Minnesota Viking, rivalry to take place. Well, where we had Favre and Rodgers just tear you guys up for 30 years.
Oh boy.
Yes, and I'm kind of a transplant Vikings fan, of course, but we were season ticket holders for some time, and actually we're at the NFC Championship game when the Vikings were 15-0 or 15-1 that year, and they lost to the Falcons. So that was a really hard pill to swallow when trying to become a Vikings fan, and that probably set me back a few years, I'd say, but still root for them. But yeah, not so much the Packers, though. Sorry to say.
No.
Well, after the year they've had,
we don't have much to root for.
We don't have a lot to say.
Yeah,
we don't have much to root for.
Yeah, no doubt. A little bit about me, some of my interests. Growing up in the Indianapolis area, you're kind of just exposed to, during the month of May, to the Indianapolis 500 and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And I remember going to that probably from age 4 all the way through high school and college and everything, and just have such tremendous memories of that whole event and that venue, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And it just made me a racing fan for life. And so that's one of my interests and passions, is racing and all forms of racing and speed. And Formula One is probably top of the list right now for what I watch most. But thanks to that, it's just great memories. Like I said, it was a really special place for me. And then, as you both know, Missy and I both played, or still play, but not so much anymore, Texas Hold'em and poker. And that was a fun hobby for us to do together. And we've been doing that since the poker boom started in, I think, 2003 or 4, and just a real fun hobby for us. But yeah, so there's some interest here. I started in 1997 at Ryan as a design builder, project manager. And so that's kind of how I got my start here, going on my 26th year. And then in 2001, got my start with my first distribution center project. So just a little bit about me.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, the great poker boom. You know who that was? Chris Moneymaker, I think, right? World Series of Poker. Chris Moneymaker. That was a poker boom. That's what got me into it. And then I started playing poker in my basement with all my buddies, and we'd have poker nights. And I know you and I have talked about going out to Vegas and doing a World Series of like satellite event together, not the really expensive ones, but you know, the less expensive ones, but that'd be fun to do. We need to do that this year. We should make that our 2023 resolution.
I like it.
I've got to get it cleared by the old wife over here.
The old wife over here.
That sounds good. It's you know, we played a couple of I won't touch that one. We played a couple of World Series of Poker events. You know, they have the series every year, and a couple of years in a row that we went over there and played a couple of those. And I tell you, it's just for an amateur, just hobby kind of player, it's such a cool experience. So definitely would love to go back and do that if that were to come to play.
Well, we'll see what happens in 2023.
I'll have our people get with your people.
There you go.
Well,
I love it.
Todd, tell us, was Ryan your introduction into the cold storage construction industry, or tell our audience how you got into the cold storage?
Sure. Yeah, it was. So started in 97. I really worked on just any random projects, commercial projects for 4 years. So retail stores, office showrooms. I did a food and beverage project. But in 2001, I had the opportunity to actually go and be on the job site for a large distribution center for Target in Iowa. And it was my first venture into the industrial world in earnest, let's say, because I'd done some industrial related projects up to that point, but you know, nothing like a true distribution center that you know has conveyor systems in it, has 160 dock doors, 1.5 million square feet, just a different level of operational specialization that facility had. So that really started my entry, gave me my first introduction into it. Loved it, and continued to just work in that space on projects like that for the next couple of years. But then in 2006, again with Target, I had the opportunity to lead Target's first true ground up design build cold storage facility, which was in Lake City, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a great experience for me. So it was, you know, I'd said 5 years or so of distribution facilities, but now doing my first refrigerated facility. Not only that, it was our first automated facility, and it was also our client's first refrigerated and automated facility.
That's cool.
Yeah, the project scope was.
Man. You know that's the boom on all these, you know, the Walmarts and Targets starting to get into food and groceries.
Yeah, 100% right. And so, I mean, they went all in and built or contemplated a very, very complex facility that was fully automated, high bay building, multiple temperature chambers, shrink compensating floors, you know, super technical aspects that I had never been exposed to. And I just thought it was really cool. The, you know, the technical component, just another level of complexity that was required for a facility like that to make sure that at the end of the day, it performed the way it should for our client. And so that was my first opportunity. And from there, anything we did cold storage in the company, I was probably involved with, including 4 more projects like that for Target around the country. And so just, it springboarded my career in that cold world.
That's a cool story. I like that.
That's awesome story.
To be able to do the first with your client too, like that's a special thing.
That's a great introduction.
Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's the boom. I mean, that's what really kind of kicked everything off into where we are today with all these grocery stores or these dry box stores doing groceries now. And the technology is just crazy and changing, and shrink comp floors and automation. And that's just, that technology has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
I guess what do you, so you've been in the industry a super long time for industrial cold storage, 20 plus years. What do you love most about this industry?
You know, I think I actually use a term for myself. I don't share it externally very much, but I call it simple complexity. Maybe it could be complex simplicity. You can choose, I guess, how to term it. But, you know, what I mean by that is, you know, a lot of people think of a distribution center as a dumb box or just not very technical and not hard to build. But the reality of it is, and particularly in a cold storage facility, it's super technical. And there are a lot of aspects to it that are very important, that are very detailed and complex about it. And me being a kind of an engineering minded person, I don't really take to paint colors and carpeting and interior design selections and things like that, which is a lot of I love being in a nice office with nice things, but I don't like to be part of the process to get to that. I would much rather focus on things that are more on the engineering side, and really what matter in this industry to our customers is how the building performs. So
That's true.
the function, the operational side of these buildings it's really what drives these projects. And I really just take to that. So I love the fact that in some ways they're not super complex, but in other ways they're extremely complex and extremely specialized. And I just gravitate towards that type of a setup.
That's interesting.
I love it.
It is. There's always a lot going on.
It's true. Keep it simple, stupid, but you can
get into trouble quickly, I think, if you don't do things right.
Oh yeah.
Or if you don't hire the right sub.
That's the great point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, Todd, tell us a little bit about Ryan Companies, like the size of Ryan, your locations, your offices. I know you don't just do cold storage. Ryan does more than that. So give our listeners a little insight into Ryan Companies.
Okay, great. So we're still a privately held company, fourth generation Ryan family. So we have the fourth generation currently active in the leadership of the company. Ownership of the company is still held mostly with the Ryan family. And we started in 1938 in Hibbing, Minnesota. You both may know where that is, but most people probably don't. In northern Minnesota, up in the Iron Range, so way up north of Minnesota, and moved to the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, in the 70s. And that was really kind of what started the company. So fourth generation, continued to grow the company. Let's see, last year, 2022 and 21, about $4.2 billion of total revenue for the company, which has just we've been on a growth trajectory for a number of years here. And it's been very, very good, very successful from that standpoint. We have 17 regional offices around the country. We really focus our work in the lower 48 states. We truly are a national company that can go coast to coast and work in just about every state, or I should say we can work in every state in the lower 48. And maybe the relevance to this conversation specifically would be that, up until about 2012, our company, with all of the regional offices that we had, each of our offices kind of did their own thing. They were all successful in their own ways. They were their own business units, but the project types that they did was whatever made sense to them, whatever deals that they could put together, be successful with. And it was a great business model for us. But when we went into the recession in the late 2000s, it was really tough on us as a developer, because we're a company that has all services in the real estate cycle, everything from site selection, development, incentives, design and construction, of course, all the way through property management.
Wow. Okay.
So we're very diverse that way, and we can deploy those services in a menu style format where there's value to our customers if they see that value. But so I mentioned that just because a big part of our business is development and leasing or owning buildings and leasing them back to our customers if that's a format that they like. But that was really hard on developers in the recession. So we just committed as a company that when we come out of the recession, we want to be stronger and be better at what we do, so that we don't have to feel like we're going to be hurt bad by an economy, a situation like that. And so the result of that was to be specialized and to develop our sector strategy. That's what we call it, our sector strategy. That was the idea there, again, being more specialized in the parts of the industry where we're really good and doubling down on those areas where we're really, really good. Industrial is one of those. There's 5 other sectors that we have: retail, senior housing, multifamily, healthcare, and then corporate build-to-suit, which is kind of a sector and kind of a service line, but build-to-suit being the development side of things. So I guess that's enough, I guess, on Ryan Companies, but that's a little bit about, how we got to this point and what we do.
That's amazing. Amazing growth. Offices all over. I felt like I worked with many of your offices all over the country. Just great people.
Yeah.
And your tagline, right? What's your tagline? Building lasting
relationships.
Building lasting relationships.
And that, as well as, we are very much a relationship-based business. we talk a lot about our culture around here, and I know a lot of people talk about culture, and it's really hard to describe a culture for anybody.
True.
But our culture really is in our people that we have here, and the fact that even though we're not Ryan family members, we feel like Ryan family members. We're all treated as such, and there's just a lot of respect, and it's a great place to work as an employee. But I think our people gravitate towards a very open and trusting environment. So we like to develop a relationship with our customers and build an element of trust where they see that Ryan's there for their best interest and to help them succeed in what they're doing. So the people part of it is very, very important to us.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I mean, you guys got a phenomenal new office in Minneapolis. I feel like you've probably been there now for like 5 years, right? In the new office, somewhere in there.
Exactly. 5.5 years.
Yeah, so I was close.
You were.
And you guys moved, and your remodel or your new office is incredible and open concept, which I love, and everyone in there is fantastic. Everyone's like they're happy to be there. You can feel that energy. Everyone's happy to be a part of the Ryan team, and that's special.
Yeah, that's very true. Great observation.
Yeah. So I guess I want to ask you, what's one of the coolest projects that you were involved in at Ryan Companies, more on the food distribution, cold storage side?
Yeah.
And you can't pick your first Target job in 2004. Pick another one. Another cool one, like a cool project you've been involved in that you really remember it could be a collaboration with a sub. It could be collaboration with an owner. You might have solved a problem for an owner. You might have learned something new on a job in this space. I guess anything like that comes to mind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have to still my favorite project that I've done in my career is that Target Lake City project. Okay. So it is my first cold storage, but maybe it's just that whole program that we executed for Target in that regard. There were 5 of those buildings that we did, and they were just all very, very specialized, like I said, and 2 of them had a certain type of automation system and the other 3 had a different type. So I was able to get different learnings relative to automation systems, the way different things are done. And so, that whole piece and particularly the Lake City project was just, my learning curve, what it did for my career is just unmatched. And it just accelerated things to a point where I became the expert at Ryan as a cold storage person here, particularly in Minneapolis, and just helped me springboard my career. So I just love the eye-opening aspects of that project that I just didn't even realize existed. The nuances with ammonia refrigeration, the settlement of the slabs, or the movement below the ground, and how that might impact an automated system. In building cold storage in Florida, super humid, of course, and so trying to figure out how to avoid a lot of warm, very humid air coming in through the dock doors, which can create condensation or even snow. If it's not done right. So just learning about all of that, I think that's the one I would choose.
Awesome. And I know you talk a lot about technologies on those job sites. How tall were these buildings at the time, and how tall are you building them today?
That was those particular ones were, so they morphed a little bit. So they started, I think the first one in Lake City, they had a freezer that was 70 feet tall. Wow. So it was not a rack supported building, conventionally framed. But then we went to a couple of others that were down the road that went to a rack supported facility. Actually, not too far from you in Denton, Texas, is another facility that was in that program that has a 100-foot tall rack supported freezer and cooler, fully automated. And then, it kind of depends. I think the movement was to go into that 100 to 135 foot range, generally, is what we have seen. Most recently, a project we did in Missouri for Nestle Purina. It wasn't a cold storage facility, but still that one being in the 125 foot range. So lots of interest in exploring heights up to that 135 foot range, let's say, but it continues to move around.
Yeah. And I know you talk a little bit about shrink comp floors, and for the listeners out there that might not understand that technology, can you explain to the listeners that might not understand that when talking concrete and you say, or shrink comp floor, what do you mean by that?
So shrinkage compensating floors essentially is for those that, obviously concrete, everybody knows concrete cracks, and you have those saw cuts that are in the floors that you have to help control where that cracking is, and have those cracks happen in those joints so you don't have stuff breaking up all over the place,
Sure.
right? So,
Mhm.
however, every one of those joints is a maintenance nightmare. You got to keep it filled with floor joint filler. It's hard on the equipment, the forklifts and such in there, the pallet jacks with those hard steel wheels, and just from a maintenance standpoint, it's really difficult. So there's been a movement in the industry to find ways to widen the distance between where those saw cuts are, those joints are. And one of the ways to do that is to use a product called shrinkage compensating concrete, which uses a certain type of cement that controls the movement during the curing process to some extent, along with some admixtures. But the idea there is that you can actually pour let's just say, for example, 100-foot by 100-foot square of concrete that has no joints in it.
Wow.
And do it, and it doesn't move, it doesn't curl. So it provides again, going back to that operational importance,
Sure.
that's how important it is for a facility to operate in the best way, controls maintenance, it keeps costs down on maintenance and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about what that is just designed to try to keep the joints spread apart and to minimize the equipment maintenance.
Yeah. I know one of those companies that out there that does that is Fricks, right?
Yeah. They do. And actually that Denton, Texas project, that was a project that they did. And
Okay.
it just,
Yeah. And
they're
cheap,
really, really nice floors.
they are, and cheap plug for them. I mean, and us too.
Yeah.
Cause you can
We might
listen
want to cut that out later.
No, it's good. They're great friends of ours. We don't have to cut that.
Yeah,
because
of course.
You can
I'm
rewind.
joking.
We're keeping it. No, it's you can rewind or go back on Apple Podcasts and listen to all our episodes. And
Mhm.
and we had Brett Wedding from Fricks on our show.
This is our second episode.
I think was it our second
Yeah.
episode? Wow, it's been a long time.
So long.
So if you want to learn more about those, I think you can rewind and go back to our second episode and listen to that one. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Very cool.
Well, Todd, you shared with us your first project. You shared with us maybe like the coolest project you've done. Do you have a cool moment or story from your career in the industrial cold storage industry that you'd be willing to share with our audience? And this moment is sponsored by our friends at Rytech High Performance Stores.
And your story can be about you and I and
Wow.
how we first met too.
Yeah, there you go. My first moment. That's a
Cool moment.
cool moment. Yeah.
Cool story. Sometimes
You know,
the
I mean,
stories are cool.
So I had a moment where when we started our sector strategy in 2012, I was approached by a certain gentleman here at the company by the name of Pat Ryan, who was our CEO at the time, now chairman of the board, and said, "Hey, we're starting this national sector for industrial, and we want to know if you'd like to be part of that." And most people in the construction industry are just happier than can be to just go about their day job and pay me a fair salary. I'm gonna go build my stuff, be a project manager, and sort of things like that. And I saw that opportunity as taking myself out of the design and construction world and kind of focusing on early pre-construction types of things. And I thought that I wanted to stay with the actual execution of the project somewhat. So I don't know what came over me, but I said, no, thank you. And I kind of got the moment of, okay, well, I know I asked you, but I wasn't really asking, kind of a response sort of thing, like, we need you to do this. So I don't know, it was a cool moment for me.
Yeah,
definitely.
Incredible moment.
To get the confidence, from him to say that you're the person that we want to put in that, and I don't want you to think, we tend to just stay in our comfort zone. So it kind of helped me get outside my comfort zone a little bit and joined the sector team. I was the second person on the sector. Actually, Paul Springthorpe, you both know, I think, was person number one on our sector. I was number two, and now we're at 130 plus people on the team.
Wow.
So yeah, it was just a cool moment of, I'll call it some level of mentorship that kind of pushed me over the edge a little bit to reach a little bit further than where I had thought about in my career. So it was a cool moment to get that kind of support and confidence from our CEO.
That's super cool, because if you think about it, then that changes your career. Like, it's changed where you ended up in your career. So it's very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we all have different comfort level with who we are and how we portray ourselves and how we speak and things like that. And you don't really know until you experience something or somebody tells you something. And so, even in college, I had a professor that told me at one point that a assignment that I turned in, and I thought it was fun. I thought I did okay on it. And he told me it was the best he'd ever seen before.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, maybe I'm good at this stuff. Or, it's just those little moments that you get in your career, those things that people give you the confidence to to go forward and grow and reach a little bit. It's just very important for people in their career growth.
Yeah, that's special.
It's incredible.
Because you don't forget those moments,
That's right.
So.
Don't.
Well, that's great. Well, tell us a little bit about, in your opinion, why people should buy from Ryan. Why do we partner with Ryan? Why do we build a relationship with Ryan?
Yeah.
What does Ryan offer their customers?
For sure. Great question, by the way. Yeah, no, it goes back to that, the relationship piece. We think we can bring or offer a little bit of a different experience to our customers because of our approach to being very open and honest. And like I said, our people are interested in all of them helping our customers achieve their goals. And we think the best way to do that is to create a very open, trusting, honest environment, an environment where we can all collaborate together and, go and do something in a way it's more fun, it's more accurate, there's less surprises, all of that. I think that's an important part to how we offer our business servicing or service lines. And so I think that's an opportunity if companies are looking for that kind of experience. We are really good at offering that. Also, I would say that what we advertise is that we don't really chase deals or projects. We're really chasing relationships and customers. And what we're really going for is to develop a programmatic type relationship with our customers that allow us to organize everything we do around their business. And everything from the people, consistency with the team, the leadership, the processes, the documents, all of that are things that we try to organize. If we're able to do that in a programmatic fashion and they want us to do that, then we just think it's the best way for us to help them make good business decisions internally and externally. So, and then lastly, I would just say, we have, like I said, every aspect of service in the real estate cycle, from site selection and development all the way through the operations of the project. So we can be extremely flexible with the services that we deploy on a project based on the amount of value that a customer may or may not see in various aspects of that. So just very flexible in what we can do.
I like that.
I'm buying from Ryan Companies.
All right. How many do you need?
Well,
You need 4 buildings?
Well, it's interesting because, you mentioned that you guys are kind of the, pardon the pun, all in type of company.
Yeah.
Poker.
Yeah,
Got it?
I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
See
you.
what you did there?
Yes, I saw what I did there. Site selection and design build, and you're essentially buying these buildings and leasing them back to customers. Not a lot of people are doing that. And the wave right now are all these capital people coming in and building these shell buildings and trying to lease them out and then over time sell them. And I mean, you guys have already been doing that forever.
It's kind of just in our DNA. It's just, that type of style, that's how our people operate best, is to do it in that kind of a fashion. So yeah, I've learned it from just being here, and just seeing the culture that we have around here at the company and how successful it is from a business and growth perspective. So yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, you've been around the world, with Ryan Companies for many, many years. You've been to many, many trade shows. So I have to ask you, what is your favorite trade show or conference each year?
Do I even have a choice? It has to be SIBA, right?
You can say whatever you want.
No, it's true though. I don't attend as many trade shows anymore, but that's the one I try to attend more. So it really is, I would say, SIBA. I think the main reason is that I'm a construction design builder person. Those are my people that are at that show. The people that are in the industry, the subs, the vendors that I was used to developing relationships with, that level, GC to subcontractor, and in there, of course, there's some end users there as well. But the consultants, all that. It's just a very familiar environment to me, and I like the people. It's just, it's just a very easy place to be and have conversations and talk to people that are like-minded like me.
Yeah,
That's very true.
amazing.
That's
I
very
love it.
true. We find that every year we go there. It's again, it's got that relation component,
Yeah,
It's cool. I mean, if
it
you're
does, and it's also smaller than some of these massive ones that you go there and it's like, do we get much value out of this? And it's more engaging. There's more direct conversations and one-on-ones versus, hey, try to get that guy to come over to our booth type of thing, or we got to seek this person out. He's here somewhere amongst these 40,000 people, and we got to find him. And so it's just a more comfortable, easy setup.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, hey, let us know and let our audience know how, if they're interested in finding out more about Ryan Companies or yourself, where would they go to do that? How do they find out more information?
Are you on the socials?
What socials are you on?
What is the social thing?
Social medias?
We are on social media. I personally am not. I have not crossed over into that world, but
good for you.
Other
Good
than
for you.
LinkedIn. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's good and bad in some ways, but LinkedIn, of course, for me personally, is a good way to connect. Be happy to connect with people that way. And email is probably the best way for me between that and LinkedIn. So todd.schell@ryancompanies.com is my email address. And then for the company, we are on social media relative to Twitter, LinkedIn page. I think there's Facebook and Instagram as well out there.
Awesome.
So you can probably find Ryan Companies out there in those social media circles.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Todd. And we want to be cognizant of your time. We are getting to our last segment of the show, which is a cool rapid round question sponsored by RideTech High Performance Stores. Before I get into that, do you want to add anything, or are you ready to dive in to the rapid round questions?
I think I'm ready to dive in. I think we'll have to see, I guess, but yeah, I don't know what those are yet.
Well, this is my favorite part of the show because we get to learn more about Todd Schell, other than going all in and going to F1, Indy 500 races and,
there you go,
rooting for the Vikings. Anyways, okay, this or that questions, Todd. I'm going to ask you one or the other. You got to pick one. Okay.
Okay.
You ready to go?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right. I'm going to kick this off in poker fashion here. Jack 10 suited or pocket nines?
Ooh. I'm going to go with the Jack 10 suited.
Ooh, I like that. More options. I like
more
like
options. Exactly.
I like the 10 Jack suited.
I know you do.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like it. Are you a cold beer or a cold drink guy?
Probably both, actually, depending on the environment. Usually at a bar, I'd say cold beer. Maybe at home, a nice cold cocktail.
There you go.
I
So let's talk wine here. Cab or a blend?
Cab, all the way. The heavier, the better.
There you go.
like it.
I like it too. Are you a beach side or pool side?
Oh, I'd say more pool side. I don't really care for swimming in the ocean. There's just too many things that can happen there. So,
Agreed.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
yes,
Ground up project or a box and box project?
I like the ground ups better. I enjoy
No.
ground up. Oh, okay.
Well,
No,
the audience wants to know why you selected that
Yes,
answer.
they do.
Yeah, okay. So I like the full aspect of a greenfield. I enjoy the parts of the below the ground, the soil preparation, geotechnical aspects of it, the foundations, the structure, all of that. I like all of that, including the technical parts of the cold storage.
I love it. Freon or ammonia refrigeration?
Ammonia.
All right. Brett
Don't tell Eric.
Favre or Aaron Rodgers?
Oh man, can I abstain?
You have to pick one.
I feel like this is more of a Vince
have,
question.
Yeah,
I'm
no
doing this
doubt,
on purpose because he's a
Actually,
Minnesota Vikings.
I know you are.
Actually, I'm a Indianapolis Colts fan. Really, is what I would tell you. In theory, I just don't get to see much of that. But that's an easy answer. It's Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. I'm just not a big Brett Favre fan myself.
That's okay. All right. Last but not least, Justin Bieber or Justin Timberlake?
Oh man. Again, can I? No, I'd say Timberlake.
There you go. All right.
That's
Well,
the answer
I'm
he
probably,
loves.
Yeah, exactly. I'm probably closer in generation or age to Timberlake than I am Bieber, so probably natural drawn to him.
That's fair.
Hey,
Fair
he's
question.
a talent. He's a talent. He's a very talented guy.
His
So,
SNL skits
for
are
sure.
the best,
He's
for sure.
definitely talented.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Todd, dude, this was awesome. You know, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so
Yes,
much for
thank
being
you.
on the Cool Times
For your
podcast and
time.
kicking off our 2023
Here
season.
we go.
Again, audience, appreciate you guys listening, and thank you to RideTech for sponsoring the show. You guys can find our work on YouTube. You can actually watch the video of this podcast, Cool Times Podcast. Hit that red subscribe button. Find us on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. And then you can listen to us in your car, if you're taking a bath, if you're walking your dog, put the headphones in and, you know, put the old iPod on or whatever, the Apple iPhone podcast.
Did you
Apple
say iPod?
Yeah, that's an
iPod.
Yeah.
iPod,
Well, we're bringing
wow.
that back too.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you can listen to us anywhere you guys want on the Apple Podcast, Cool Times Podcast, and hit that subscribe button. And again, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, cheers.
My pleasure, and thanks for having me.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks, Todd.